Hey everybody! Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. It locked me out for a second. But we're ready and we're here. I'm so pumped. I feel like we have been um, getting ready for this webinar for a long time. So I'm so pumped that it is finally here. So if you are joining us, sorry I'm a couple minutes late, but got locked out. But let me know that you're here. I can't see who's on. I can just see how many people are watching. So if you are on and you are watching, please say hi to me in the comments, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. And what I do is at the end of this webinar, those of you that comment and communicate with me, I just want to honor you for that because this is still so strange and weird. So I will be giving away a $50 gift card to Whole Foods after we are done. So hi, Denise. Hi, Robbie. Hi, Donna. But any comment that you do, any question, any like awesome, that's good. Every single comment or thing on the side, I will put into a random drawing and you could win a $50 gift card. So I'll remind everybody at the end of that. So say hi where you're at, where you're from. If you're not from here, somebody shared it with you. Okay, should we start? I think so. Okay, here we go. So here is the biggest problem when it comes to sleep. Man is the only mammal that willingly delays sleep. This is our world. Like many of you and even me, that I end up sacrificing sleep so that I can get everything done. Yet the effects of sleep deprivation are greater than we actually realize. And so there is a big problem when we are trying to do so much and we're not taking sleep for as serious as it needs to be. So I don't know if you remember these two, but on the left, that is Heath Ledger, and on the right, it is Michael Jackson. And I'm going to talk about Heath Ledger first. And probably his biggest, best known role is for when he played Joker in the Batman. Batman is Dr. Michael's favorite superhero of all time. So if you didn't know, Heath Ledger actually died during the filming of that movie. And there have been many articles written, and what had happened to him was he had insomnia. There have been articles that says at one point he only slept about 2 hours every single night. And the director of Batman, Terry Gilliam, he told Vanity Fair that Ledger was overusing prescription sleep aids in search of rest. And they said he died because it was a combination of exhaustion, a combination of sleeping medication, and perhaps the effect he was actually sick. So he had the flu and his body just stopped breathing, is what they said. His body could no longer function because of what it had been through. Michael Jackson, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office reported that Michael Jackson, he died of an overdose of propofol. And if you don't know what that is, it's an anesthetic that's most often used during major surgeries. It slows the activity of your brain and your nervous system. They still don't know like really why he was using that drug at home, but it says that he hadn't properly slept in years and maybe even decades. So the consequences of not sleeping and then using sleep aids to try and cover it up and do whatever you can to get there, it can absolutely affect our lives. It's this whole tangled web is what I like to call it. And what usually happens is there's a major crisis that might happen in your life. We all went through a major crisis a couple years ago that we didn't expect or know was going to be. And then we start to not be able to sleep. So that event, whatever that is, it might be somebody died or there was something horrible that happened, or you just didn't feel like you're coping with something and you start to not be able to sleep at night. But then it can actually become a learned experience, is what Sarah Bendick says. this quote that's right here. She says it can become a learned experience, and then it starts to overtake our entire life. And so the risk of us developing major depression at that point increases to about fourfold. When we have a crisis, then we're not able to sleep, and then we start getting diagnosed with major depression. And we know that a lot of doctors are very quick to prescribe medications for depression, anxiety, and sleep. Like, it's just what is known to happen. And if you are on these medications, I'm not here to shame or whatever that, but there's a reality of like how if you have anxiety and sleep and depression, there's this web that can happen in our lives and in our bodies. And unfortunately, like, that tangled web can cause a whole host of side effects inside of our bodies. And we can just be going around and around and around and around and not actually fixing what is causing the problems. So it's really looking at what the underlying issues are. And for some of you, this might be a part of it, like developing a psychological or physical dependence on these medications, continuing to go down and down and down in the web instead of starting to see what could potentially be affecting your sleep. It's kind of crazy. So we're going to talk about now, like, what are the everyday effects? We see what it can happen, the devastating things of what sleep can do. But I want to talk about, like, in greater detail, like poor performance. They've seen studies that show if you are lacking sleep, you are more likely to make bad decisions. You are more likely to not be able to think as clear or react as quickly or even create memories when we haven't had enough sleep. So when we are skimping on sleep and cutting back, even just 1 hour can make it tough to actually focus the next day, and it slows your response time. So think about this, your performance at your job, or think about kids at school. I mean, thinking about not being able to react as well, like that could be potentially causing car accidents and car crashes by not being able to do that. Like, the amount of car crashes that we've had in our office recently has been absolutely crazy. And I'm like, are these people sleeping? What is happening? We need to realize how much it can affect our bodies. Our mental state. People who chronically lack sleep are more likely to become depressed. They've done research. Matthew Walker, he's a sleep and neuroimaging laboratory at the University of California, Berkeley, said the part of the brain that alerts the body to be prepared for times of danger, it goes haywire when we don't get enough sleep. And when we don't get enough sleep, our mental state becomes affected. He said, our brain and our prefrontal cortex starts to become emotional jello. Our brains aren't able to function or think clearer when we aren't able to sleep. Our health. Sleep is so important for good health. Studies show that not getting enough sleep or getting poor quality sleep on a regular basis increases your risk of high blood pressure and heart disease. Mortality rates spike up to those who sleep drastically less than 7 hours a night. I think that's really what started to affect Heath Ledger and Michael Jackson. Now, what are the signs that you need better sleep? You can see all of that right there. So, like, we have to sleep, so we might as well make it good, right? So my whole goal for you today is that when we are done, I want you to be able to sleep better. But I don't mean like your quantity of sleep. Yes, some of you need to sleep more hours. But what really matters though is your quality of sleep and how well rested you are and how well you function the next day depends on your total sleep time and the quality of sleep that you get each night. So if this is you, if you have one of these, then you are in the right place. And I want to remind you, because some of you have just gotten on after I started, if you comment or say hello to me, because I can't see who's on here. I just want to know who's on here. But anybody that comments or says, that was great. I didn't know that. Whatever you say, I'll enter your name in to win a $50 gift card to Whole Foods at the end of this. So just to honor you for engaging with me on the internet. So let's talk about your circadian rhythm. How many of you have heard of this before? We know it. It's why the rooster crows at dawn. There's a whole reason why circadian rhythms exist in our bodies. So it's your internal body clock. So this controls when you are awake and when your body is ready for sleeping. Now, this clock typically follows a 24-hour repeating rhythm over and over and over again. That is what your circadian rhythm is. Now, it comes from, if you want to know what it means, like circa means around, and then dia in Latin means like day. And so circadian rhythms, they influence how you awake and then how you go to sleep. So this, though, however, needs to be reset every single day. How is it reset? By the sun. So the sun is basically the time giver. And back in the day, we didn't have all this light all the time and artificial light. Like basically everybody went to sleep when it was dark and woke up when it was awake. But we still have that body clock inside of us. And what happens though is when the sun goes down, that's when our body's melatonin increases and we become sleepy. When light comes and the sun comes up in the morning and it hits our retina on our eyes, that is the body's signal in the brain to say, now it is time to get up. However, disturbances in this, usually that comes from those of you that have shift work, working into the night, or you have a nocturnal lifestyle and you just stay up really, really late and you sleep really, really late. Those types of things actually affect the health of our body. They've done so much research on shift workers and their health because of how their bodies and their circadian rhythm is completely messed up and on the opposite schedule as everyone else. So you can see right there what it can be linked to. So we really need REM sleep. So during REM sleep, this is what we want to have. So your brain cycles through 5 distinct phases: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and then REM, rapid eye movement. So your brain is energized during REM. This is when dreaming occurs, is during REM sleep. This is when your body heals, when your body functions. This is when your nervous system is at its highest and it's able to go in and do all the healing and all the functioning of your body. So when that doesn't happen, that is not a good thing. Most of you are more likely not getting enough of this REM sleep, even if you think you're doing a really good job. So, how much sleep do you need when it comes to this? You can see right there, it actually depends a lot on your age. That rhythm, that circadian rhythm, the REM in your body, the timing of your body clock, it changes with age. So let's talk about teens. Those of you that have teen kids, or I remember when I was a teenager and my mom was like, you always sleep and you're always sleeping and you go to bed late and then you sleep late. So teens actually fall asleep later at night than younger children and adults. And one of the reasons is because melatonin is released in them differently and it peaks later in that 24-hour circadian rhythm for teens. So it's actually a natural thing for many teens to prefer later bedtimes at night and sleep later in the morning than it is with adults. So give your teens a little bit of grace when it comes to that. Some of you are like, oh, I don't want to be on this webinar anymore, but just give them some grace. It's actually part of their bodies and how it works. Now, people like babies and newborns and those that are younger, they need more sleep earlier in life. So they are growing, they're developing. So newborns, like they may sleep up to 18 hours a day. That's also why preschool children and kids need naps, is because they need much more sleep. They need to get more into that REM sleep so that they can heal and function because they're developing in those things. Now, older adults and adults, they tend to go to bed a lot earlier and then they wake up earlier. That is all normal. But on average, you can see we need 7 to 8 plus hours every single night as adults. Now, let's talk about some things that can affect our sleep and affect that whole system that we just talked about. One of them is sleep apnea. So if you don't know what this is, or you've been in our office and you've actually seen the sleep apnea machine that we have in the office. So sleep apnea, it's when you are going to bed at night, but when you're sleeping, you have one or more pauses in your breathing, or you have severely shallow breaths at night when you're sleeping. So these pauses, though, they can last from a few seconds to minutes. They also might occur 30 times or more in an hour. So typically, normal breathing then starts again, and it usually has like a loud snort or it's a choke. And when sleep apnea happens, it's not a good thing. Like, we don't want this to be happening inside of our bodies, because it continues, it's disrupting our sleep and disrupting our body's ability to really function. And you don't get into enough deep sleep when you continue to pause, or you're like waking yourself up because you're not breathing. When you have sleep apnea, it also, not only is your quality of sleep poor, but you become a lot more tired during the day. It's the leading cause of excessive daytime sleepiness. So some of you are like, maybe I have sleep apnea. It's possible. Here's how it happens. Most of the time, sleep apnea is obstructive sleep apnea. That means that the airway is collapsing and it becomes blocked during sleep. So this causes shallow breathing or breathing pauses. So you can see how those arrows, those blue arrows that you see right there, in a normal breathing, it should do what it needs to do. But then you see where that blocked airway is and the air can't get through. So when you try to breathe, any air that squeezes past that blockage is when you start to hear a loud snoring. Now, obstructive sleep apnea is more common in people who are overweight, but it can affect anyone. So a child, like a small child that has enlarged tonsils, that could obstruct the airway and not allow them to breathe normally at nighttime. But I want to talk to you guys about something that when you go to the doctor for this, they are probably not going to tell you. So when your body, we talked about that thing, that obstructive thing that comes down, it is controlled right there by the trigeminal nerve. This is a cranial nerve that activates what's called your soft palate. That's what was falling down and causing the obstruction. Part of this is a muscle. So when you put nerve supply into a muscle, it stays nice and toned. When you decrease that nerve supply, it gets flabby. So it's a lot easier for something to just fall down when you're laying on your back. Here's what happens. You have your spine. You can see that is a neck curve from the side here. A normal neck curvature from the side and a space at the top will help to make sure that all of that is completely clear. This is a cadaver. They chop them in half, and at the very top part right here, I'm going to use my mouse right here. That is right here on the nerve, the trigeminal nerve. That is where that comes out of. So when you have a good curve in your neck and there is not any compression or pressure on that upper part, then it can allow that soft palate to stay nice and toned and not to become flabby and just fall down into your airway. So those of you that are patients, your home care is so important. Like, if you have sleep apnea, you should be only making sure that there is a curve inside of your neck and to do your home care exercises so that can stay small. If you're on here and you're not a patient and you're not getting adjusted somewhere, you need to check into that, and you need to get an x-ray so you can see if those spaces at the upper part are helping those nerves do what they need to do, or if they are compressing and pressing on those nerves, not allowing your body and your nervous system to do what it needs to do. That could be what's causing your whole body to be able to not breathe at nighttime and stopping your airway. Now, other things, restless leg. This is terrible. Like I actually had some of this when I had COVID back in 2020. I felt it through my whole body. It was like there was stuff crawling all over my back, and then it would go down into my legs. And it was one of the most unpleasant feelings I've ever had. Like some people even describe it like this creeping, crawling, pulling, itching, tingling, burning, aching, electric shocks. Like it can encompass a lot of things on restless legs. And what stinks is like it happens at nighttime when you're ready to go to bed, and then all of a sudden, and it can sometimes even happen in your arms where it's just like everything feels awake. You just have this strong urge to just move your legs, and it's this strange and unpleasant feeling that's happening. So when this happens, like if that's you, like it says that 2 to 3% of adults have these symptoms, but it's not like a disease inside of your bodies. Most are actually caused from misalignments in your spine, nerve related. Some of them can actually be caused from medications that you could be taking. And some of them can be caused by an atrophy of the muscles, so not exercising or moving. Sometimes it can also be the blood supply is decreased, and it's mainly from becoming sedentary. It can also be caused from mineral deficiencies. So if you fix the cause, the symptoms will go away. But sometimes what they do for this is they'll prescribe antipsychotics for restless leg syndrome. Isn't that insane? But I get it. It's like you feel crazy. I'm like, it feels like creepy crawly bugs like on your body for some people. So here's what I recommend first to try. It's actually magnesium. This one, we have it in our office. It's Designs for Health Magnesium Chelate Powder. I don't have a link. You can't buy it online, but you can get it in the office, or you can Amazon that. You can go to Designs for Health. You can get it, and it's a powder. And 99% of you are probably deficient in magnesium, but it's very good for your legs, twitching, cramping, aches and pains, and relaxation. It calms the nervous system. It calms the muscles. It helps to decrease muscle spasms and related to any mineral deficiencies. So this is where I would start first if you feel like that is you. So now let's go even deeper. Sleep and weight loss resistance. Raise your hand if you want to lose 11 pounds in your sleep. That would be awesome. They actually did a 7-year study, a Finnish study, and they took 7,022 middle-aged people. They found women who report 7,022 middle-aged women that reported having sleep problems, and they found that they were more likely to experience major weight gain, 11 pounds or more from not sleeping. So that means like if you fix your sleep, that 11 pounds that you could have gained, you would lose it by just fixing your sleep. And some of you actually don't think you actually have a sleep issue, but you are keeping weight on even despite the fact that you're eating right and you're exercising. It actually could be that you're not getting enough of that REM sleep in terms of time and depth when you are sleeping. So this is a good thing. So what really affects great sleep? So I'm going to tell you a story about a guy named Bob. So everyone say hello to Bob. So Bob works a lot. He usually works pretty late. And when he works late, he doesn't have time to go home and make dinner. So he goes through the drive-thru a lot and eats a lot of McDonald's, like eats a lot of Burger King. It's just quick, it's fast, Chick-fil-A. He goes, he gets it, and then he comes home Kids are in bed because mom put him into bed, but then him and his wife, they like to just sit, watch TV, no problem, no big deal, come home, watch a movie an hour before bed. Maybe they sometimes get sucked into the Netflix and Hulu and all of that. They just keep watching all the shows, gonna go to bed. They just keep watching. And then, let's just have a glass of wine before I go to bed. You might even have a snack before you go to bed, have some ice cream, some chips. And then they get into bed, they're done. And they scroll on their phone for 15 minutes on Instagram, Facebook. What is everybody doing? And then puts it down, and then it's just like this tossing and turning every single night, trying all the positions to get comfortable. Then about 1 o'clock, he's so frustrated that he's still not asleep. And then he decides he's going to take a sleeping pill. And then the alarm comes way faster than you want it to. And he feels so unrested. So he makes some coffee, gets himself going, and then he starts to feel amazing after like 10 o'clock rolls around. Even though you've been at work for a while, you get this like boost of energy, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna have another cup of coffee. You go to work, and then everybody's going out to lunch, so you go have like some pasta, you go have some food, and then you crash around 3, and then he struggles to make it the rest of the day at work. He's half delirious, and then this just continues again and again and again. Poor Bob. But does this sound a little bit familiar to some of you? Like Bob's not alone, and you're not alone either. But this is the reality of what it's like day in, day out, every single day. Can you see how this can become a tangled web over and over and over and over and over again, and we just keep living this way? So there's a better way to get great sleep. So now we're going to get into the solutions. We just literally took a half an hour to talk about how terrible it is to not be able to sleep. And I think that's why you're on here, but we don't have to continue to live like Bob. Okay? There's a better way. So the first thing, I'm sure a lot of you, when I was telling that story, like you can recognize the problems, but you might have just need to hear from something else to recognize it in your own behaviors. So the first thing, we have to have great nerve supply. If that wasn't already determined through sleep apnea, like all of that inside of our bodies, like our nervous system runs every single thing in our entire body. When our spine is misaligned, it puts pressure on the nerves, and that goes out to your heart, to your lungs, to your muscles, to your tissues. And when it can't get clear and great nerve supply, everything is going to be affected. Your brain and your nervous system are what increase every time that you go to bed at night. Your breathing slows down, your heart rate slows down, but that is the time where your nervous system says, I'm ready to go, let's go out and let's heal and let's function. So if we have misalignments in our spine, then we're not going to receive all the healing and functioning that our bodies have for us. So patience. Your home care is important. Your roles at nighttime are very important for you to make sure that you stay on them so that your nervous system is able to function like it's supposed to. How do you know if your nervous system isn't functioning like it's supposed to? Well, your body gives you signs. When your spine misaligns, it's called subluxation. We don't use this word a lot, but this time I wanted to. We need to know what subluxation is. We need to know what it's doing to our bodies so that we can know how to correct and fix it. Warning signs right there. One of the big ones is insomnia. When our bodies aren't functioning and healing like it's supposed to, it will give us a sign. And we can either do one of two things. We can just ignore it. You can actually do 3 things. 1, you can just ignore it. It'll go away. It'll get better. I'll just continue going on with life and continuing to just run my body ragged and then starting to look like Bob. You can medicate. You can cover things up. That's what medications are. They are Band-Aids. They are not really getting to what's causing the problem. Or 3, we can actually get to what's causing it. And when everything runs from our nervous system, this is the very first place that we need to start. And if you are listening to this and you have never had your spine and your nervous system checked, I want to encourage you to make sure that that happens. Whether it's with us or another chiropractor, if you live somewhere else, let me know in the chat and I'll see if there's a chiropractor that's close to you. I'm going to put a link in the chat for those of you that want to tell your friends or your family about our office. It's a link that they can directly make an appointment to come in. It's a friends and family link, so they get a discount from using that link. Or if you're not from here, please let me know, and I will make sure that we find somewhere for you to get the help that you need to first start with your nerve supply. Second thing, these are the elements now of great sleep that we're going through. So light and dark. So to keep your rhythm working, your circadian rhythm, you have to have sunlight and you have to have darkness. You have to have both of those things. Now, how do you do this? You have to decrease the lights in your home as it gets later in the day. One of the biggest reasons why, one of the things that affects your circadian rhythm more than anything, your cell phones. These have what are called blue light. Sun is blue light, if you didn't know that. Like, we do need to have blue light in order for the sun part and the light part. But if we have it continuously, our brain doesn't know that it is dark outside and that we're supposed to go to bed. So shut down your electronics. And you have so many little lights around that can actually mess up your sleep without you even knowing it. So we had this fan in our room at night, and it was a stand-up fan that goes like this, but at the top it had a digital light that was blue. And we were like, we couldn't sleep one night. I'm like, what is happening and what is going on right after we put it in there? And that light from the thing was affecting how we slept. It's that powerful. You think, that can't be. Excuse me. A red smoke alarm light, that can actually affect your sleep. Your body is very sensitive to those things. And so we need to decrease those amounts of lights in our room. So we actually put a washcloth over it. You can use like electrical tape. You can put that over those lights that are in your room. Also, like, no night lights for your kids. Some of you might be like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, if you're going to, we have one night light that we put in our bathroom, but it is no blue lights. So it's only yellow light. So it's a yellow light, so it's not confusing our brains, our bodies at all. It has low EMFs inside of it. So, but night lights are not good for their quality of sleep and sometimes even their quantity of sleep. Their bodies can be very sensitive to that light. Also, making sure that you have blackout curtains. We have blackout curtains in our room. So purchasing some good drapes or some blackout curtains, blackout blinds, get your room as dark as possible at night. We stop electronics. We don't watch TV late at night to help this on a regular basis. We like to read before we go to bed and shut down our phones before we go to bed. Okay? Bedding. There's actually studies that show if you make your bed, Your mom was right when she told you, like, you do need to make your bed after all. You get 19% better sleep on average if you make your bed. Also, like, knowing your bed is clean, like, it's like inviting, it's preparing you for a sleep. It's like, there's a whole shift in your body when you have a made bed. Number 2, before I get into mattresses, no working in your bed. If you work from home, get out of your bed and work somewhere else. The reason is your body can get used to being in the bed all the time. So when you go into your bed, it can think, oh, I'm working, not this is the place where I sleep. So that's more of like a mental aspect of it. So no working in your bed. Your bed is where you sleep. It is where you take naps. Your body knows that, so that when you get into your bed, you are sleeping. Now, let's talk about mattresses. It does matter. You really want to have a firm mattress. Medium firm to firm is what Dr. Michael and I recommend. If you have a sleep number bed, it should be above 60. But the other part of this is that you really do need to have non-toxic bedding and non-toxic mattresses. We use Brentwood Homes. That is where we buy our mattresses. Memorial Day is coming up. And so I would recommend, if you know that you need to buy a new mattress, buy it on a holiday. They always have sales. They always have that, but you need it to be non-toxic. And the reason is because I'll talk about in a second, that toxins, breathing those in every single night is not a good thing for our sleep. Okay. They spray a lot of stuff on our mattresses, like flame retardants and formaldehyde. It's crazy. So the other thing is air them out before you use them, so that off gassing, you're not breathing that in right when you get your mattress. I'm going to just double check to see how everybody's doing. I can't actually see it. Melissa loves her sleep mask. Everyone's so sad for Bob. So sweet. Yeah, sleep mask. Get your whole thing covered, and you black out everything. All right. The next thing that we're going to talk about, good food and drink choices. Eliminate these before bed, and preferably most of the time. Like, we don't want any refined carbohydrates, no caffeine, no sugar, no alcohol. Caffeine cannot happen like later in the day. It will absolutely affect your sleep. Sugar can affect your sleep. Alcohol can affect your sleep. Alcohol can definitely affect your sleep and your recovery of your body. We have our Whoops, and Dr. Michael and I, it tells your strain of your body, and it also tells the recovery. Anytime that we have a drink, even if it's Tito's, like I tell you, like we have, like the healthier drinks, it crashes my recovery. And instead of being like green and good like it is most days, it goes to a straight red. And instead of it being 90%, I'll get like a 16% recovery. Even if I ate well, I exercised, I did all the other things, I took all of my supplements, having one drink completely crashes my recovery. So having and limiting those as much as possible will help your sleep. So your food and drink do matter with how you're going to sleep at night. The best sleep position. So you can see this guy's arm. You can see that there's a cat and an animal in the bed. You can also see she is on her belly and her face is turned to the side. So this sleep position, even though it might be comfy for you, is not the actual best sleep position. The best sleep position is to be sleeping on your back, having sleep supports. Your rolls are the best things. You have the large one in your neck, the small one in your lower back. And then if you have to switch, you switch to your side, and you make sure that you have a pillow that supports the side of your neck, like the tri-core pillow, and then having a pillow in between your legs to support any hip rotation, making sure that that doesn't tweak your back. The worst way to sleep is on your belly. Okay? That completely torques and twists your spine this direction. It can also shut down, like you're not able to breathe because you're like right in, your face is down. So great sleep is when your nervous system can be up, and so not being cut off by the way that you sleep and how you sleep. The next one, your temperature. I put a picture of the guys on there because I think most men are like, praise God, she always wants it so hot in this house. Because she's always freezing cold. However, the temperature of your room should be between 68 and 72 degrees. Any warmer than this, unless you have a health condition, will help you. It will not let you have REM sleep as well. 68 to 72 is when you can get better and greater REM sleep. Okay. You can help this with fans in your room if that helps. The noise itself usually doesn't affect your sleep and the amount of sleep that you get. And so we sometimes it can actually be more soothing, like noise machines, and that we have a fan in our room as well to help this, because you know how some rooms like it's blazing hot, it's freezing, then it's blazing hot, and you can't quite do it. So having a fan in your room can also help to regulate that as well, and that's totally fine to do. The next thing, exercising. It doesn't have to be long. The research shows that getting 150 minutes a week of moderate to vigorous exercise paid an increase of 65% improvement. 65% improvement. So exercising and moving will help you sleep. If you're like, I can't sleep very well, it's not very good, start moving. If you know that you're not, could be a big reason and a really quick fix, easy. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be hard, but like making sure that you're getting the movement in. The morning time is the best time to exercise, but any time is the second best. No pets or kids in the bed. So this is one that I do not follow. I'll be very honest with you, but they have done a lot of research with this. And some of you I know co-sleep with your kids, and that's just a decision that you're making right now, but eventually they need to get out of your bed to help so that you can sleep. But 53% of pet owners who sleep with their pets experience nightly sleep disruption. I also do know that based off of my Whoop, because when Dr. Michael and I go on vacation without any dogs, we usually get less sleep disturbances because it tells you how many times you've been disturbed while you were sleeping. And I know that that's because we have not one, but we now have two animals in our bed. So they are bed hogs. It just is what it is. And they can be the worst sleepers sometimes, and they take over your leg space. They move around. They snore sometimes. And so everybody kind of deserves their own sleep space. And so I can't tell you to not do this. It's really up to you. I can just tell you what it is, and then you can decide what you want to do from there. Okay. No, we're not totally to the last one. We're almost there. Consistent timing. So staying up late and sleeping in an hour more or later than usual on weekends, it can actually provide that biological clock, that circadian rhythm cues to push it towards a later nighttime phase. So you can, if you stay up later some nights, sleep in later some nights, wake up earlier some days, like keeping this, like doing that can cause your body to want a later schedule to fall asleep. So then that internal clock can become hours behind your usual weekday schedule. And this can actually create Monday morning blues. It could not be that, oh God, Monday is here. It could be part of that, like your job and doing, the sun is here. I'm just going to turn a little bit this way. I think that'll help. Maybe not. But that can actually cause why you're so depressed on Monday mornings. So keeping that late schedule on the weekend nights is not good for your weekday rhythm. So it's keeping it as consistent as you possibly can. The Whoop also helps with that too. I feel like a infomercial for the Whoop, but we really do love it. It helps to, like, if you're wondering what it's like, I know Apple Watches and they can do this and they can see. I'm not sure, I don't have one, if they like talk about consistent timing, but they do with the Whoop. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, eliminating toxicity. Chronic exposure to low levels of toxicity slowly increases overall body burden, and that can cause hormone dysfunction. So I was waking up before, like at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and it was consistent. It was all the time, all the time, all the time. When your body wakes up at a consistent time every single night, then that is a warning sign of potential toxicity in your liver. It can be your liver, your gallbladder. It could be cortisol hormones, and all of those can be affected by toxicity inside. So that's why, like, all the Glade plugins that you have everywhere, like it's constantly, you're breathing those in, and that low level of toxicity can affect your sleep. If you're washing everything in toxic detergents like Tides, that aren't unscented, like not organic, that stuff that you're smelling and breathing in all night can cause a lot of disruption and dysfunction inside of your body because your body's trying to heal at night and it's getting bombarded with all of these toxins. If you're burning candles all the time, you have perfume everywhere. Those are low levels of toxicity that can show up and cause problems in your sleep. So we keep a diffuser in our room. Some of you maybe thought I was going to talk about using lavender oil or melatonin. And I'll tell you, like, yes, can that help your body calm you at night? Yes, can melatonin help? But they've seen studies now that melatonin really only needs to be used for a short-term effect, not long-term. That's just a natural sleeping pill. And we don't want to continue to use that over and over and over and over and over and over again all the time, because that's still a warning sign that your body's not able to sleep on its own. So it's not working properly on its own, because your body makes melatonin itself from your pineal gland that's inside of your brain. And the way that melatonin is produced is when there's no light, no more light. Melatonin's like, okay, awesome. No more light, melatonin goes. So then now we're going to go to sleep. How does melatonin then crash? In the morning. Some of you just need to get out into the sunlight. When you get out into the sunlight, and the sun is like right here, when the sun goes into your eyes, it helps to crash melatonin. So then melatonin can be produced. Some of you, the melatonin's still there because you haven't gotten outside in the morning, looked in the sun. It's just all artificial light, and you're in the artificial light all day long. You need to get out into the sun. We have to have that light and we have to have that darkness in order to allow our bodies to function and heal and sleep properly. The last thing I'm going to talk about before we are done, I'm going to encourage those of you that take sleeping pills to start applying those elements so that your body doesn't need these anymore. I can't tell you to or not to do this. This is on your own, but I'm going to give you 200 reasons why you should kick it. 203. You know, it's crazy. Look at 202 and 203. A lot of these side effects are very common. Some of them are rare, but every single one of those has appeared in human beings who have taken prescription sleeping pills. That's like 202 and 203. Like, that is just, I can't. Depression that can actually lead to suicide. It can be incredibly dangerous. And it's a little startling when you think about it, like that you can actually take sleeping pills and one of the side effects and results is insomnia. You know, I think that there's more options and there's better options. And unfortunately, we do know people that have taken their life and they've been on sleeping pills, or they took a sleeping medication and then it was the end. I think there's a better way that we can do this. So we have to remember where it starts. Great sleep starts with function. Your brain has to be connected to your body. Your nervous system needs to be functioning. The neurology in your body is what controls the sleeping. If there's proper function, proper sleep happens. Find that dysfunction and correct the problem. No more covering things up. So here are your action steps. Of those things that I just went through, what do you need to do first? Some of you, it might be as small as getting blackout curtains finally. You've been wanting to do it for forever. Some of you, it's like it's time to buy a new mattress. Like, it has been long enough and you need to get a new mattress. Some of you have been sleeping on your belly and you need to not do that anymore, and you need to get serious about retraining your body to sleep on your back. Some of you are going to kick your dogs out of your bed. It's okay. I don't know how you're going to do that. Let me know how it goes, because maybe that will be something that we could do in the future. Some of you, it's your food and your alcohol intake, and you have a drink every single night before you go to bed, but that's affecting your sleep. Some of you, it's like you're just like watching Instagram and Facebook and you're getting sucked into a hole and you're not taking that part of it seriously. So you've got to stop doing that. Some of you are just not getting outside and you just need to walk out into the sun in the morning. Some of you need to go to bed earlier and you just keep staying late so you can reset your circadian rhythm. And some of you need to get your spines checked. Some of you need to get serious with taking care of your nervous system. Whatever that is, it's whatever you want to do. But just do one thing first. Don't let this be another workshop and another webinar where you just come sit to it and you just hope that something changes and you just learn something cool and you don't actually take action on it. One thing, change one of the things that we talked about today. Then I want you to register for the next workshop. It's going to be on heart health. So if any of you want to protect yourself from the deadliest enemy of health, which is heart disease, then make sure that you get to this next workshop. I'm going to put a link up there. The registration just went live at 5:30 when this started. So you guys are the first people to know that this existed. But you can register on Eventbrite for that. It won't be until June 20th. So we still have a month. It's a month from now. So you got 4 weeks. It's going to be a live one in the office. So it's going to be at our office at 6 o'clock on Monday, June 20th. So what are you going to learn? You're going to discover the impact of oxidative stress, which is a big cause of heart disease. We're going to talk about the truth of cholesterol. We're also going to talk about the 3 hidden causes of heart disease. And then we're going to implement or tell you how to implement and quickly and effectively ways to manage your blood pressure. So we're going to talk all things heart. It's the leading cause of death in our country right now is heart disease, and then cancer is next. So we're doing a workshop on it, and we're going to talk about how we can keep our bodies healthy and well. So let me take a look at everybody's thing over here. Kira says choices. That is exactly right. We get choices. Perfect temp. Denise says they can make bad smells. Robbie asks, is 10 hours a night sleep too much? I don't think so. I think that what we go through so much day in and day out that if you need to sleep for 10 hours, go for it. I think that that's totally fine. Get a sleep mask. So good. Get adjusted by us. It'll change your life. Thanks, Robbie. Denise is getting a new mattress. I love it. Brentwood Homes. I'll write it in the chat. I don't have like a special of any sort. I just, Brentwood Homes, they have great mattresses. Good. Denise says the quality is what she's been missing. I know. I look forward to my nighttime routine every night. I'll finish with my nighttime routine. So I come home from the office. It's usually around 6:30. So I get home at like 6:45, 7, and I let the dogs out. They do their thing. And then I cook dinner. I have already prepped it usually. So we usually eat dinner between like at 7:15, 7:30. And then after that, at 8 o'clock, we just kind of chill, read a book. We might turn on a show. It just depends on what we want to do. But then our nighttime routine starts at 8:30, between 8 and 8:30, just depending. And we do the sleep version of mud water. So it's kind of like a tea that has a lot of like calming herbs before we go to bed. And then we take our magnesium at nighttime and we do that. And then we start to read, we wind down, we have no more phones. Our phones are not in our bedroom. They're in our bathroom. We plug them in our bathroom so they're not near us at all. I get woken up by a vibration from my Whoop that it's time to get up. But we just try to get to bed every night between 8:30 and 9 because we wake up early. We wake up at 4:27 on most days. We sleep in. If we sleep in, we sleep in until 6, and we usually don't go past that. And we try not to stay up late because we see that it just affects everything. So some of you, a nighttime routine might be a good idea. Figure out what you want to do for that and like get yourself ready to wind down and be done and get rid of this. Even if that's just the one thing that you do, get rid of that at night, turn it off, get rid of it so that your body can finally wind down for once and continue that. Okay. All right. I love you all. If you have any questions, let me know. And then whoever commented, I'm going to put your name into a drawing and I will email you your gift card. So check your email and it'll come from me. All right. Bye.